So we talked about Nathan having a really generous scheme with the New South Wales government, effectively an government employee.
I gave birth and I don't even get that parental leave.
Yeah, but you don't work for the New South Wales government.
I don't.
Yeah, you can if you want.
Yeah.
That's a choice, Jel.
You also get school holidays. And
Yeah. I talked to a lot of teachers about that. But look, what is, and I'm sure Rach won't mind us talking about it, like, was there a policy at Sphere with Rach around leave for maternity leave, parental leave?
I was the first employee at Sphere to have a child, so I guess it was all new.
Yep.
And I guess my role is different in the sense that I'm a broker. So, I'm not an admin or a support role where someone may need me full time. So, but absolutely at first it was a massive juggle trying to figure out how it was going to work, how many days. I know Rach would prefer me to work 4 days as opposed to me doing 3, those types of things. But I think it's just having those transparent conversations and, I just really emphasize that I know I'm never going to get this time back. So it's really important for me to do this at this time.
And for those who work for a small business or a non-government vibe, it is really good that, the federal government now do, 24 weeks at the minimum wage. So there is something. That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Businesses, they can choose to do a variety of things. I know some companies have added their own policies to government things, or will top up for those 24 weeks. We'll top up.
It's definitely not just government that are doing the paid parental leave or maternity leave.
But that's why I just want to chat about this, that if you're employed by a company that isn't the government, unless it's mandated by law that, so I run a small business. If one of my staff members had a child tomorrow, I don't have to do anything.
No.
It's like, I can give you some time off. Like, there might be a couple of carve-outs, but I made the decision, I think, when one of my staff members had a child, I said, look, take all the time you need off. For the first year that you're off, I'll just pay the super on what you were earning.
Yeah.
So I just thought I can do that.
Yeah.
And I just think it's important for small businesses and employers out there just to acknowledge that we do live in reality, and it can kind of lean into that almost like a employee benefit thing. Like I got a job at, tech company down the road and they provide free lunch for everyone every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, do you want to work for a job that provides free lunch or not? Do you want to work for a company, you were saying before, a friend of yours works for a huge corporate, some crazy amount of leave that they get.
But have to go back to work full time.
But you have to go back full time. That's right. So I just think forewarned is foreknowledged or something like that.
Yeah, I have no idea, Glenn.
You do? No. Foreknowledge is forewarned or something like that. Like, we just need to know. So
yeah, absolutely.
Talk to your employee if there's an employee handbook, see what their policies are. I think even for I had a staff member once in my old business, his wife had a child, and I just said, look, on top of your leave, I'll give you 2 weeks off full pay.
Yeah.
Like, because I get it that, it's a family unit and all that.
It's definitely dependent on the employer, and I felt super supported. There was no pressure. I believe legally the company has to hold your position for at least a year.
Yes. But I'm talking about there's
benefits.
No legal hard thing where a private company has to give hard dollars for a certain amount of time.
Yeah. And I have friends that have had annual leave that they've taken at a few days to sort of make up that difference. I know if you do work for the government, you can take your government paid leave, but then you also get the Centrelink leave. So then you can basically get a whole year off completely paid. So there's,
so I think it is all that, like,
scenarios.
We've got at least this baseline, 6 months, call it, that is minimum wage paid by the government, the taxpayer, us as a society. And then it's like, does your employer do other things? And and this is the problem where I get, and not to get political, but it's all well and good for somebody like, a private company should be doing this. It's like, okay, well, if you're putting me on the hook to pay 6 months on top of this government thing, like, I'm happy to do it if I had the money, but basic fundamentals come in. It's like, where's the money coming from? I've got to charge your customers more. So I just think it is a balancing act.
Absolutely.
But I think the underlying tone that I'm hearing from you was your employer was really supportive with flexibility. There wasn't this, no, if you do go on mat leave, you've got to come back full time. And so that was a bit of a sidetrack. But during your time away, how did you keep engaged with the team, and did you each time?
Yeah, I mean, I guess our office isn't huge, like there's not hundreds of employees. So having that relationship with them was very easy. Still getting invited to any like work team building events or end of financial year dinner or someone's birthday, but just staying in touch.
Because you're still a team member.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. So I think it was more just like, staying in touch, just dropping in and sharing your work colleagues your life. So I think it was an important part to me as well, because obviously over these times the team has grown as well. And being there for so long, it's just stay in touch and just let them know where you're at, and just drop in.
Sweet. Now, what do you think the biggest challenges were when you were transitioning after Gia? So it was like a year off, 6 months or a year back on-ish, then another 10 months off, then we're back 3 days a week. And it's funny, you look back, it's like a zigzag timeline. What was the challenge kind of coming back the second time with 2 kids, doing part-time, knowing that your salary would be less as well, and we've got 2 kids now. So what was that transition like for you?
I felt like it was basically I hit restart on my career again. I guess being a broker, I have clients, I have a pipeline, all of those things. So it was just a matter of, getting in there and just really, just thinking like I'm starting off fresh. But I think the juggle is like, keeping it real, like getting out the door in the morning and making sure things are organised and planning your weekend around being ready for that working week. And if I am taking a day off during the week for our children, whatever that may be, that means then I'm only working 2 days that week. So, it's a big juggle. It still is a juggle. I can't say I have perfected that. But also just like knowing your priorities and surrendering in this season.
So on that juggle, currently the kids are in childcare 2 days a week?
3 days.
3, sorry?
Yep.
Okay, so are they fixed days?
Yes.
What days are they?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
Okay. And then you're working what days?
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday.
No, the reason I ask is...
Do I have a day off childless?
Yeah, I don't know. You're allowed to.
Absolutely.
But you pay for
Fridays, Rowie also goes to preschool.
Yes. Oh, okay. I think that's why maybe I was...
Probably, yeah. So on Fridays, I still have a child, but I just have Gia.
Yeah.
And Rowie goes to preschool. However, that's school hours and school holidays completely off.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
So given you said the juggle word before, did that influence your decision either way to go back sooner or not?
I think the second time around, I felt a lot more ready. I knew what was coming and I knew what role I was stepping back into at work. I think the first time returning to work and not knowing how that job's going to look if you've never worked it part-time before is very daunting. So I think the second time around, I just knew what I was going back into. So I found that transition a lot easier.
And just on that, when you looked at all the financial figures, because you know how you hear the things like, well, childcare is like, how much is it per child for you or per day?
So a fortnight for our children. Gia goes 3 days. Rowan goes 2.
Yeah.
It's $700 a fortnight.
Yeah. Okay. So, for example, are there any subsidies? Is that net?
That's including a subsidy.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Cool.
I think the youngest child is about $165 a day.
Yeah.
Before a subsidy.
Yeah. Cool. So I guess what I'm saying is, you know how some people are like, it's literally cheaper for one parent to stay and be a carer.
Yeah.
Based on your situation, was it cheaper for you to do that, or is it like, no, wash up net, if I'm working 3 days, it actually works out better financially at the end of the week?
It definitely, at the moment, works out better financially for me to stay at the 3 days.
Working.
Yep. So, yeah, but I feel like there's also, and this is taking away the financial thing, there's also so many benefits for them that I can't provide at home.
That's right. But also, you went in a really good direction and point, but I was looking at the benefit for you as well as your career, your own mental health, your own, like my sister, she stayed at home, I think the first 4 or 5 years, and she's like, I'm literally going nuts. I'm sick of talking baby. I'm going back to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there's that benefit as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like for myself and Nathan, and we've had this conversation a few times, I'm like, even if I was to be a stay-at-home mum, I would probably send them 2 or 3 days a week, probably 2, but because I can't give them what they get at daycare, all the socializing, the learning different skills and creating relationships with other people, it's not something that I can give them.
So I got a phone call before, a talent scout. They were after a real housewife of Toowoomba Bay. You in or not?
Yeah, for me personally, I enjoy going to work.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying excelling in my career. It's definitely taken off now that I've been back a full year.
And let's be real, like in your career, you will, in terms of financial benefit for your household, you don't have to say, and I don't know.
Yep.
But if you do this right, your income for your family could be maybe double what a deputy principal is.
Absolutely.
Or an assistant principal.
Yes.
So this is a real strategic choice.
Yes.
And how have you gone with the social norms when you talk to people about, oh, Nathan might just be a bit of a part-time dad and I might go back to full-time work, because I'm sure you guys have had that discussion.
We have. We actually have had that recently, that he may eventually take maybe working 3 days and I will go full time, because before we had Rowie, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, I earned more than Nathan.
Yep.
So for us,
if he does mind, red flag.
He definitely doesn't
and kids,
mind.
What do? We don't ignore red flags, all right? Look at me. Hang on. Go onto the camera. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me.
But he doesn't mind. He never has minded. But I think that is an important conversation to have, because there is dynamics around the man wanting to be the provider, caring for their family, earning more than their partner. But for us, over the next few years, this really is our strategy, that is potentially what is going to happen.
Yeah.
But I just need to feel supported that I can do that.
Yeah, and I think you are supported. I mean, I've known you now for, ever since
Longer than Nathan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've seen, like, because when I started my business, you were working at Sphere Next Door. That was in 2015.
Mm-hmm.
You had been there for a couple of years.
A year.
Yeah, just looking at my timeline. Like, I know you enough to know that if you're not coping or whatever.
Yeah,
like I've seen you.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I will say, funnily enough, we were doing a bit of an experiment with a new show, which is not going ahead right now. And when Rach left here, or what I said, I'm like, Genevieve is just not comfortable in there. There's lots going on. I said, we need to walk this back. So
yeah. Yeah, no, there's all the signs.
I know.
I showed all the signs.
I was just like, I know her and I know that something is not right.
Yeah.
We are not proceeding until we practice. Anyway.
Yeah.
So 2 final questions.
Sure.
What surprised you most, good or bad, about kind of working part-time as a parent?
Yeah.
And going through everything that you've been through?
Yeah. So, I mean, working part-time as a parent and like you literally go to work, you work all day and then you're also going home and you're not switching off because then you're being a mum and a dad and doing all the things that parents need to do in the mornings and the afternoons. So I think for me, it's really just been about finding time for myself and surrendering to that. Like, I know I said that before, but just like allowing myself to have that time or just making that time, booking an appointment for myself or making sure I'm going to Pilates. So
how do you recharge?
I go to Pilates.
Yeah.
Girlfriends, and I think also just like spending quality time with my kids. Like on the days that I do have them, I make sure that I only really check in on work when they're napping or having some downtime. I'm really about just like giving them that time because it's not forever.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of, welcome to the commercial world, children. In your type of role, high professional environment and role, sure, you work, quote unquote, 3 days a week, right?
Yes, and every night.
And but that's what I mean. It's just like you have to be prepared with your career. You won't get the benefit, and this is really goes into a wild time. Like, I don't believe people should work and not get paid. I don't believe people should get taken advantage of. But once you step into a role or an award or a role that is above the award. So, if you looked at mortgage broker salary award, this is the amount, this is the hours a week, you're probably so far removed from that award, borderline all bets are off. And, I know that there's that whole right to switch off and all that. I would say, what I'm saying here is I don't think there would be any pressure from your employer that you're on 5 days a week.
No.
But as your career and your client book, if you look at your week as a whole and base that you're getting paid significantly, probably more than the award, you have resolved that if I just check things while the kids are asleep, or if I just log in emails overnight, just to keep the ball rolling.
Absolutely.
And you've made that decision, but if that's not what you want to do, when you return to your same type of role, potentially post-family, you've got to make the call, am I still going to be doing the same thing?
Yeah.
Because in your role, things can get urgent.
Absolutely.
And you've got support staff and you do have good boundaries.
Yes.
But I think I'm saying, I don't know what I'm saying, but.
Yeah, I think it's also just like, for me, going from being a full-time broker before kids and now, and obviously experience, everything can be fixed, most things, and no one is going to die.
No.
But I guess I just need to, be smart about where I use my time. I make sure that I don't work past a certain time at night.
Yeah.
But it's just, that's also a commitment to my career that I'm wanting to grow it, but I'm also wanting to be a present mum.
Yeah, and I think the more I think about all that drool that I spat out then, your situation, it's actually less about I've had the maternity leave. Now I'm going back to a 3-day on. You've had the maternity leave. Now you're going back to a workplace that allows complete flexibility.
Absolutely.
I
Like
think
even
that's
on a
more the
work
thing.
day, I can
Yeah.
go to a school event
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever that may look like. But that also may look like that I work at 9:00 at night.
Exactly.
So, but
Yeah.
I
So
know
I think
everyone doesn't have that flexibility. If you're a shift worker, if you work in a hospital. And so, yeah, I think it's also about if you're not happy in your career before you do have kids, what could you do when you do have kids and what would that look like?
And I would say you say people might not have the choice to have that flexibility. I dare say you might not want that flexibility. You might want to go to work, go home, not checking emails at night.
Yeah.
Awesome. We lay in the bed that we make for ourselves.
Yeah, there's pros and cons.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Finally, if there's one thing with your magic wand, with all this parental leave, maternity leave, paid parental leave, all that stuff, having been through it yourself, one thing that you would change in a magical world, vote one Genevieve, what would you change?
Oh, that's a really good question.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think personally like I have done it wrong, so I can't say I would change anything. But I think if you are planning for a family, then, yeah, just set the standards now. Have a look at how it's going to look even if you're not planning on it for a few years. And I guess for me, I never really looked at any employee benefits or how that would look for me. With planning a family. So I think if I was to go back in time, I would look at those before I had a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like pre-planning, even if it's not something that you're planning to do for.
It's just being aware.
Yep, absolutely. But I
100%.
can't say I would change too much.
Awesome.